Dr. Nurudeen O. Pedro. I get it. MBBS, DRCOG, MRCPG, GP Partner Medical Ashley Medical Center. I knew they talk about Nottingham. I want to go to Dr. Bill. Sashkoli Asalatu wa yi Dr. wa bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀tẹ̀. So àwa ni ẹja kọ́ fún ẹ̀rọ náà. Ẹ lọ gba àyọ̀ǹda. Ẹ wá ló ń kọ́ lọ fún ànábì ní the best one sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The best among you ni ẹni tó mọ nǹkan tó tó ń kọ́ yàn. Nǹkan tó mọ̀ yẹn ó wúlò fún yàn. Àwọn ẹlòmíì ìlímù ìyànfà òun náà ni wọ́n ní mọ̀ ìmọ̀ àwọn òṣàǹfààní fúnra wọn gan débi tó ṣẹ́gun lò bá rà pa. Ọlọ́run wá ṣe ti níbẹ̀. A kí àwọn dókítà wa, Dr. Nurudeen tó sí àríwá. A fún wọn ní ààyè 30 minutes láti bá a sọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run. Àti kí ni àwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n, àwọn elétò ìmọ̀ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀. Kí ni wọ́n yá méjì, ẹ bá kí wọn wọlé, ẹ bá kí wọn wọlé. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀. Wọ́n fẹ́ máa wòye lórí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀. Àti dọ́kítà wa, Dr. Nurudeen Pedro. Báwa bá dàbá ní bá ṣe tó ogun náà nìyẹn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ tó gba dọ́kítà ẹ̀rọ pé iṣẹ́ ẹ̀rọ tó ní ìlú dọ́kítà. Làwọn wọ̀ ní ẹ̀sìn ẹ wà tó ní pé tó kọ́ jẹ́ ara lé inú àsàlátù ara wa ní ẹ̀rọ bá ti máa ń kára sálọ láti kí o.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Àwọn àfáà wa wọ́n ní tí a sọ̀rọ̀ pa the health benefits of Ramadan. First, I want to apologize that I'll be speaking mainly English. Yeah, I would like to make this discussion as interactive as possible. I'm not going to bore us with medical terminologies and jargons. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. But above all, let's make it very interactive. In looking at the topic I've been given, I'm sure our fathers have really talked to us about the importance and significance of Ramadan spiritually, and the fact that it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. So it is compulsory for us to fast in the month of Ramadan. It is not negotiable. It is one of the things that make us a Muslim. In looking at the topic of discussion, it will make sense if we try to track it and look at the key elements of that discussion. The key element is number 1, health and Ramadan. So I'll start by explaining what health is. And from that definition, we can relate when we have the discussion about the significance of fasting. Health as per WHO is a complete state of total physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of disease or infirmity. Most people who've done one science thing or the other, you'll be very familiar with that definition. It is a definition that I've lived for decades. The reason being is that most of us focus on our health, we think it's only physical. Newer definition of health have put into consideration intellectual, spiritual, as well as mental or emotional well-being. All of those are very important. They say, I don't have this condition, I don't have diabetes, I don't have hypertension. for that, I think I'm healthy. Not necessarily. So it goes beyond the fact that you've got one label or the other. Now looking at Ramadan, I don't think I'm qualified enough to talk about Ramadan. But we know, like I've said before, that Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and it involves us fasting from dawn to dusk. So approximately what that translates to in the UK currently is that you'll be fasting for approximately 15 hours. Yeah. So we will look at that, fasting for approximately 15 hours, how that will affect my health. Will it affect my health positively or negatively? So by looking at that, we need to know what happens to the body when we fast. So usually when we fast, it involves basically, for people that are not very Islamic, you don't drink and you don't eat anything. So literally nothing comes through your mouth. Yeah. So when anybody is fasting, your body tends to use your reserve store of nutrients, your reserve store of glucose. After you have been fasting for more than 8 hours, the body usually exhausts its glucose and nutrient store. So which means literally, no matter what you've eaten for the whole day, it will have all been using, the body will have used everything up. So at that point, after 8 hours, the body tends to look for, what are the alternative ways? What are the ways I need to sustain myself? So what are the other ways I need to get glucose for us to keep moving? We'll imagine that, I've not eaten for the whole day, but I was still able to function. I was still able to shout. Where is this energy coming from? It is because the body is looking for extra resources. And those extra resources are basically the body going to the fat cells in the liver and on the muscle to convert it to energy and to produce more glucose. And that is one the area that we mostly benefit from using those extra fats that we got in our tummy, that we got elsewhere. It will eventually make us healthy. So that is like a quick summary of what's going to happen in this discussion today. So, like I said, after you fasted for 8 hours, the body tends to go to use the fat store for energy and to produce glucose. But what happens after the fat store is exhausted? That usually happens when people have prolonged fasts, which is what we call starvation. Thankfully, alhamdulillah, that doesn't happen in Islam because we are allowed to break our fast when it's time for iftar. So literally, we don't tend to fast, we don't tend to go into a state of starvation. So it would be very wrong, if you are trying to explain to somebody that it's not Muslim to say that you are starving yourself. You are not, you are simply fasting. So because by the time it's, let's say people in Nigeria, by the time it's 12 hours to 15 hours, you are breaking your fast. And you are more or less starting the same cycle again for a period of 1 month, which is a lot of cleansing that anybody could desire for. And that basically takes me to the topic of the discussion, which is what are the benefits of fasting in the month of Ramadan. So looking at this benefit, it's better because there's a lot of benefits that you get from this. But to put things into context, it will make sense if I try to kind of like classify the benefits into systems and area of health. And then we can relate better to that. So I've kind of like divided into 4 areas that we can look into the benefits of fasting in the month of Ramadan. The first is what I refer to as the cardiovascular benefits, which is basically the benefits for the heart and the vessels. unless you look at the digestive benefit, which is the benefit of the digestive system, immunological. The advent of COVID has made all of us to know about immunity, why it is important for you to have a good immunity, because they've either slapped us with the word immunity to the extent that everybody has come to know one thing or the other about it. And it will be a surprise for us to know that even doing this fasting, you've got some benefit to your immunity. So it is an immunological benefit. And above all, for you to function, you need to be psychologically 100%. So there is a psychological benefit of fasting in the month of Ramadan. So starting from the cardiovascular benefits, while I was explaining what happened when you fast, I made emphasis on the fact that the body tends to break down fat deposits. So what happens when the body does that is that it reduces and regulates the fat and the lipids that one has got in the body. So in essence, what it does is that it reduces the bad cholesterol that you've got in the body. And that more or less promotes good flow of blood. So because what happens, most long-standing conditions are related to what we refer to as atherosclerosis, which is basically when there's narrowing of the vessels that supplies one part of the body or the other. So if there's, and most of those narrowing is due to deposition of cholesterol in the lumen, which is in the chambers of those vessels. So when you tend to reduce your bad cholesterol, what happens is that you have free flow of blood to every part of the body. And this more or less prevents stroke and heart attack most of the time. So, and as we know, in our general health, by the time people are getting to 40 years, what happens is that they tend to say, oh, come for health checkup, come for health checkup. The whole essence of those health checkup is to look at things that can be modified, things that you can prevent, things that if you do one thing or the other, you can prevent having some disease and ensure a good, healthy lifestyle. So by doing so, if you have a low cholesterol in the blood, you tend to prevent one of the commonest things that is a cause of death. We know people that have got stroke, people that have got heart attack, the importance and the long-term effect of those conditions. Also, cardiovascularly, we know that during the month of Ramadan, we don't tend to eat. We don't tend to eat during the day. So, in essence, this boy is very hungry. So, okay, in essence, what happens is that you have a reduction of intake of salt, which is very essential and important for control of blood pressure. You have reduced intake of glucose, which is very important for prevention of diabetes. So more or less, cardiovascularly, you've got a significant benefit. You've got people that have got high blood pressure. It's just all of a sudden the blood pressure is well controlled. People that are diabetic, who worried what's going to happen during the month of Ramadan. In fact, the ones that are not on medication, it's an avenue for them to improve their control of diabetes. So now moving forward, I'm going to go to the digestive benefits. We wondered, before Ramadan, I used to eat 3 times a day. Then all of a sudden, I'm very comfortable eating twice a day or even lower than that. This is because, by the time you start fasting, you tend to condition your system the gastrointestinal tract, which is where the food goes to and what have you, goes through a positive U-turn in the sense that, oh, this is a period that they rest. You can imagine for a whole year, one has been eating jabbers, and this thing has been functioning, getting rid of it, and all of a sudden, you're not eating as much as you used to before the month of Ramadan. So in essence, what happened to the digestive system that they have a positive use on, it rests. Most of the organ, especially the stomach, shrinks. And that's why people wonder, oh, I used to finish one bowl of eba before Ramadan. Oh, I want to break my fast, but I cannot eat much. What's going on? Because your system has slightly been conditioned for you to eat less. Most of the weight loss, diet trends that we see on the internet are all designed for you to have reduced appetite and to have reduced consumption of glucose. And that comes at no cost during the month of Ramadan because your appetite is reduced. And that's why, when people try to break their fast, it is sunnah for you to break your fast with fruits, especially dates, or you drink water. I mean, we don't know who were those people that live in those decades or century, how they come about those information, but we know that, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will not say something, because it's the best of mankind, and that advice has been scientifically to be the correct thing, because if you look at yourself, maybe you've done it before, or try to break your fast eating jollof rice, you won't be able to eat much. But if you break your fast with, let's say, for example, fruits, you go, say, Maghrib, and then you come back, you realize that you are able to eat much, because those fruits stimulate your appetite. And it also tells the gastrointestinal tract that, oh, this gentleman, this woman is ready to eat. So, and God has made it so easy for us in the sense that when the body is going through those processes I explained before, you need some antioxidants, which you see very much in multivitamins, to boost yourself so that you can eat very well. So basically, that's the digestive benefit of fasting the month of Ramadan. Now looking at our immunity, that's also very important, especially at the because of COVID. Everybody's looking for one thing or the other to reduce, to boost their immunity. We don't know that the thing is just around us, which is just basically fasting. Because one of the ways you boost your immunity is fasting. Because one of the things that happens in the month of Ramadan, like we've been told about, is that you tend to cleanse in your body. So it's like a full month of detoxification. People that smoke, they don't smoke. People that drink alcohol, they don't drink alcohol. We are not even allowed to do all of those in Islam. So, but because in Ramadan, our spiritual health is very, very paramount, people drop and neglect bad habits. And back to where I was explaining the process of what happened in the month during fasting, you will see when the body is trying to use up those cholesterol deposits, it doesn't just use up those cholesterol deposits, it also uses up some other things. And part of those things are the harmful toxins that you have in the body. Because the body is looking for ways to get energy aside going to the protein, which is what happened in starvation. But good for us, that doesn't happen in the month of Ramadan. So the body tends to look at the bad toxin and use them up as a source of energy. So indirectly, the body is detoxifying itself. Yeah. Also, we know that one of the cells in the blood that is highly responsible for maintaining your immunity is your white blood cell. So, and what happens when the body is trying to source for extra source of energy is that it uses up old tired white blood cells, white blood cells that cannot function as much as they should in their lifespan. It uses up those white blood cells, which more or less cause some regeneration of new white blood cell. So you come out with a more robust and improved immunity after this whole process. And finally, because I'll try not to bore us too much, is looking at the psychological benefits. Most people just don't know why you are just calmer, and more relaxed in the month of Ramadan. I think that's part of the blessing of the month, and part of it is, scientifically, they've claimed and proven that by the time one is fasting for a few days, you tend to produce some chemicals in the brain called endorphins. And what those does is basically similar to serotonins, which are things that most antidepressants are designed for your body to produce more. So you notice that when you fast, you produce more of those endorphins. And what it does basically is that they relax you, they make you calmer, and make you very resilient to stress. So people that get angry, you just know all of a sudden, oh, this so-and-so person is calmer. He doesn't get angry, but we blame it on the fact that probably he's hungry. But that's not just the thing, because before Ramadan, it's not eating every 2 hours. No, there will be times that he doesn't eat for months. I can remember when growing up in Lagos, we noticed all of a sudden that the outdoor activities, usually goes down because people say, well, maybe they are hungry. That's why they are not really nonchalant as usual. But there's something helping them, which they don't know, which is basically their body is producing a chemical to help their brain. These also help improve our mood. You notice that you are more happier, the family are more calmer, your head is clear. And that's why you notice that, oh, I've not been reading the Quran for the whole year. I think I should be doing something. Because it gives you a clear head for you to have a rethink of this, a rethink of that. Oh, this is what I'm doing that's not right. It is not that those people don't think about those things that is not right, but they don't really have that relaxed mind for them to dig and see, oh, this is what I'm doing that is not right. So eventually, it boosts your mood. You are able to concentrate better. You are able to dig inwards to look at things that you've not been doing that you need to do more. So this more or less improves learning, and stabilize our mental health. So I would really love us to come up with all those questions, because that is how the discussion will progress. But at this junction, you please permit me in putting hold of our discussion about the benefits of fasting in the month of Ramadan. I hope we've gained one thing or the other from this brief, short discussion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Microphone is there. If you have questions, you have questions? Okay. Oh, yeah.
I just want to ask regarding the cardiovascular benefits of Ramadan. Because sometimes when I fast, even before Ramadan, I don't have like pain. Okay. I'm not sure whether it's from my stomach or from my center, it goes through my heart, my chest. Okay. So I'm thinking maybe I've got ulcer, or maybe it's like I'm not eating, or so can you just explain that?
That is a very good question. I think most people growing up will have come across when they tell people if you have ulcer, please don't fast, one thing or the other. It is basically because, when you fast for hours and hours and hours, your stomach is resting, it's not doing anything. But you've had some residual acids, which are gastric acids, that are normally produced in the stomach. So what happens is that when those acids are not saying things for them to chop and chomp, there is reflux. So reflux in the sense that those acids try to move upwards, and that causes heartburn. So heartburn, because it is a irritation at the level of the esophagus, which is the food gullet, which is just behind the heart. Most people think, oh, there's a problem with my heart, where in essence, it is just a simple thing. The answer to it is basically, oh, if that is happening too frequent, it may not be, there are ways out of it. One of the ways out of it is that, and that's why some people, when they are predisposed to having ulcers, before Ramadan, sometimes, they come for medications that they take. Because now medicine, is not like 20 years ago. There are medications that you take that reduce acid production that lasts for the whole day. So you can take those medications when you do your sahur. So then it lasts you for long. It helps regulate that acid production. Then people are able to fast.
Well, it's better to avoid the medication really because
it is better if and part of it is conditioning. If before Ramadan you try to test run the process and see how it works best for you, because most of the time people eat things that produce a lot of acids during sahur. We know most of our staple foods, spice, pepper, all those things produce a lot of acids. So if you know that, I'm prone to this, you better reduce those things if you really think you want to fast in the month of Ramadan. So basically that's the way out of it. And when you're breaking your fast, try to reduce things that has a lot of acid in them as well. So is that clear?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, please.
My daughter, when she fasts, when she's trying to break the fast, she tends to nauseate.
Correct.
So what's the cause of that? Most of the time she struggles with that a lot.
So usually when it happens like that, it is just some people are prone to more acids. So what is happening at that time is that our acid is coming up. So it's irritating her and making her to feel sick. So but what those kind of people should basically do is more or less drink water first, give it some time, eat fruits, but not a lot. Not like a lot of oranges that has a lot of acids. So just eat things that are not acidic. Then you will notice that all of a sudden, things like that are very easy and you don't get nauseating a lot. Yeah.
About Sunday, Bufale, Tiwa,
no, you can actually ask.
First of all, I would want to appreciate you. The presentation is quite understandable and informative. I really enjoy it. But one question I want to ask is, during Ramadan, we tend to just correct. And then at the end of it, when we want to break, so we tend to quickly want to grab water to drink. Can you just tell us maybe there's any particular measure, the type of water? I know water is very good and it's very recommended to be drinking. So, is there any particular measure for the amount of water we should drink? Okay. Because at the end of it, sometimes you drink water and you're full, you cannot eat anything, and then you get dizzy and then you get tired, more tired than before, or you drink water, you stop your stomach and then you have running stomach and stuff like that. You end up in the toilet. So is there any regulation or it has to be body system or anything you can advise on? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. I think in the question is the answer already. The issue about fluid intake, especially when you are in summer months and in a very hot environment, because your body water storage is used up. Yeah. If you are breaking your fast, it is advisable for you to have sips as opposed to dumping a lot of water in your tummy. You remember when I started my discussion, I said that as part of what happened in the process of fasting, you have shrinking of the stomach. So the usual capacity, usually I finish one bottle of water at a go. If you try to do that, it takes time because that occupies the content of the stomach. So you won't be able to eat. The body will need to get rid of those water, because the body that has not, deal with any food particles, now you just loaded it with water. It will just be distracted with the water and you feel full. And that's what people throw up. You drink a lot of water. The next thing, some other time. The next thing you feel sick, you want to throw up. And I think there's a blessing in disguise in our whole process of breaking fast. You will notice that, we're encouraged to break our fast early. Yeah? Which coincides most of the time with the time of smoking. You drink water, you eat fruits, you go to pray, you do some movements, yeah, and then you go home to go and eat. That short period gives time for the body to take care of that thing, and that also boosts your appetite, like what I've explained before. So there's a blessing in everything little by little. It is a process that I've been for years, but I think it's a perfect process, and that's why it is really easy for people to fast in the month of Ramadan. Yeah. Walid Salah.
My own question is,
And there's also your bag.
for some of us that prescribe medication for,
Okay.
I say we should be taking at 8 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and evening time. And because of towards the Ramadan, so we don't have to transition taking. So what are the risks?
That's a very, very good question. Because, most people, when they are getting old, they tend to take one medication or the other. The thing is, number one, it depends on what medication you are taking and what is that medication for. I'll give an instance. For example, somebody is hypertensive, you take a medication for that. On the other hand, you have somebody who is diabetic who takes medication for it. In the setup of health system in the UK, most people are encouraged, to come before Ramadan so that you can have a medication review. It is a comprehensive review looking at all those medications to say, this one, Mr. So you can actually take this one with your sahur. You can take this one with your iftar, looking at what those medications does. Yeah. I'll go into a little bit of controversial area, which is, medication for diabetes. Because we know that those medications reduce glucose in the blood. But it's not all of them, that directly reduce your blood glucose. Yeah. Things like metformin, people can still take it, when they fast. It is just that you take one dose in the morning or another one when you break your fast. So you create that time. You understand? But if you notice that, if I'm taking blood pressure tablets, it is to reduce my blood pressure. If I take it, I've got a very physical job. I've got a physical thing to do on that day. Obviously, you've got to reduce glucose. You don't want something that will further reduce your blood pressure. But you need a good control of your blood pressure because you don't want your blood pressure to go sky high after the month of Ramadan. You can say, okay, in that case, I'll be taking my blood pressure tablets when I break my fast. So which more or less gives you time, for that to still be regulated. Because we all know in the month of Ramadan, we wake up, we do a lot of activity, our circadian rhythm, our reading of how you actually function change a little bit, yeah. You are more active, you are doing things in the night or so.
So you can always change, take that as case may be. And you'll be surprised that, oh, I didn't know that the medication I'm taking is a better alternative. That is the whole essence of medication review. So when the appropriate health practitioner goes into, and have a look at all those things, because all those things are individualized. The medication Mr. A takes is different from what Mrs. A takes. So we need to individualize it as necessary. So, and that's why that's a very, very important and good question. Yeah. Okay.
What if the medication given to you, for example, for a palpitation?
Correct.
The medication given to you, you're supposed to use it like 3 times in a day.
Correct.
And you are fasting.
Yeah.
Can you keep it until? Can you take one in the morning and keep the middle one until?
So I will answer the question by looking at what you raised, medication for palpitation. Sometimes, medications are different kind. You have immediate release medication, which means, oh, I take this medication now, it becomes active within the next several minutes to few hours. Some medication are slow release, they go slowly into the blood. So, which are the modified release medication? Obviously, the modified release medication are much expensive than the one that goes straight to the blood. There are 2 options about that. The first option is, oh, you need, okay, let's say for example, palpitation, you need propranolol. That's the one you use commonly for that. Oh, you need propranolol 3 times a day. Okay, what dose is the person taking? 10 milligrams 3 times a day. Oh, that's fine. You could take 10 milligrams in the morning, take 20 at night. Or you can just skip the afternoon dose and see what happens. If your palpitation worsens, don't worry. Take 2 tablets of that at night instead of 1. Or we make it easy and give you the modified release of that medication, of which we know the implication for that. That's more expensive. They may not want to produce that, prescribe that, causes any interest on one of you. So that's what happened in that situation. Yeah. So, any questions
last
from the
one.
kids?
From the kids?
From the kids, from the children.
We have people fasting.
There's difference between kids and children. I want to see your different background kids.
Okay.
Madam, very question.
So,
children, is there any question you want to ask our doctor? Yeah, I think they came late, so yeah, they didn't meet most of them.
You want to say something? Go for it.
Just like basic, so you know the people that get like insulin,
Alright.
they still be able to like get it because I think they have like time to get it.
Okay.
So like obviously when you break the
Insulin,
fast,
right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So when you get it, like when you break the fast at night,
Yeah.
they still be able to like get the injection.
That's a very good question. So most people, with insulin, the common thinking is that, oh, because I get insulin, I may not be able to fast. So but the interesting thing is that all of those have been looked into, and there's a clear guidelines, from the Royal College of what you do about insulin administration. You understand? It now depends on the type of insulin the person is taking. Is it the immediate acting insulin that you take with food, yeah, or a long-acting insulin? That's what will determine what needs to happen. For example, some people take very long-acting insulin that reduces sugar for up to 10, 16 hours, yeah? So like the Lantus insulin. So those ones, you would want to adjust the regimen, looking into what the person was taking before Ramadan. For example, if you're familiar with insulin, you'll say, oh, it takes 10 units in the morning, 5 units at night. Well, that's a total of 10, 15 minutes a day, yeah? But you could split that, to say, oh, for the last so, yeah? This is what I've required, yeah? Give 3 units in the morning, give 10 at night. And most of the time, it is always advisable to test run those before Ramadan, because you don't want that person to go into a state of hypoglycemia, yeah? So most of the time, when people use insulin, they say, oh, when and people knows it now. When people know that Ramadan is coming, yeah, few months to Ramadan, they raise all these questions. You will be surprised, yeah. So they test run it. You say, oh, I'll fast on Monday, I'll fast on Thursday, and see what happens. Because people really love fasting, to be fair with you. And you don't want to take that thing away from them. So it is very doable. Yeah, a lot of people are on insulin and they are fasting. So that's not a problem. So it's something that we look into. But it needs to be individualized in the sense that, oh, how much of insulin does that person require before? How much, you can reduce it a little bit, check their HbA1c, medical journals, check their control of sugar, over the last 3 months to see how they are doing, yeah, to be able to make that decision.
Thank you. Sorry, the last one. Sorry.
Give me the best one.
Sorry. I'm not trying to be cheeky.
Yeah, but no,
I'll take both questions.
All right.
Let's say female first or
what's your name?
What about those on blocking
medication?
Like warfarin and stuff? They have specific time.
Exactly. Well, warfarin is mainly taken at 6 p.m. for obvious reasons, yeah, because of absorption and so. But if you are not eating, we can re-regulate the timing of your warfarin. The important is you take it daily, yeah. So you want to make sure, I take it at 6 p.m. Once you go to 9 o'clock, stick to that 9 o'clock for that time, yeah. It's 8 o'clock, stick to that 8 o'clock because you look at it 24 hours because the warfarin gets out of your system in 3 to 5 days. So you want to target it against that. 6 o'clock is when was the last time I took it before Ramadan. You gradually change it to, let's say, 8 o'clock because you've planned ahead. They said this month of Ramadan we'll most likely be breaking our fast around 8 o'clock. So I'll put it at that time. And then you carry on as usual. Okay?
So go for that. Yeah, I'm not trying to be cheeky. You said something now that people come for review even 3 months before Ramadan.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, is this applicable to Black community, particularly Nigerians coming to the GP and say, I'll be fasting, I want to do blood review or something like that?
The thing is that I think it's all about information. Most people don't have that information. The information is that we thought, I would say they thought that the people they are talking to wouldn't know about the Ramadan. But the hindsight is that they know about it. Yeah, I can't assume that because this person is so named, they will be fasting. You need to let me know. You need to raise the question. That's the essence of medication with you. Because when you are uncertain about something, instead of making a blind decision, it is best to discuss it with health professional to say, I will need a medication review. Because people do medication review because they say, I think I'm going to have an operation. I think I'm going to travel. Do we need to do something now? But our people don't realize that you can actually do that. It's all about creating time, setting that alarm to say you want to call your GP at a specific time. You may not get the appointment on that day. Just know, it will be something, okay, they book away for me in 2 weeks' time. And then you have that discussion. And then your mind is at rest. That, I've clarified the questions, they've looked at, because there's some medication you can stop temporarily. So they could look at that and say, this one is not essential. Stop this for now. After Ramadan, start it again. So it is not a rigid thing, that you have to do it like this. We make decisions together.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Last question.
No worries.
We'll have a last question.
For the sake of our people, you mentioned earlier that when they're fasting, like the fat help the system when they're starving to the
Starving is not the word. We don't starve. Because starving is look at people that are skinny. Malnourished. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry about that. I was just
it helps the body.
Yeah.
And leads to our immune system.
Yes.
Okay. Let's like the children, like the children, like the skinny ones, right? And they are fasting. I think I'm going to develop like an ulcer or something.
That's a very good question. So the metabolism of a child is different. So the question was that skinny kids that we try to, I'm just saying this something, that we try to encourage to fast. Are we not making them to develop ulcer?
Doctor, the reason why I said skinny
yes,
is because for those people that are fat, so they have the body.
Yeah, I know. I totally understand. So the thing is, your body regulation balance itself. For example, let's leave kids out. We have super skinny adults. Why do we say they should fast? Are we not making them malnourished? But it doesn't happen. Even people that are skinny develop heart attack. People that are skinny have stroke. It doesn't mean that because he's got big tummy like this, that's why he's going to be prone to that. It is really because in your blood, in everybody's blood, we have good and bad cholesterol. I mentioned it before that what the fasting does is that the body picks up the bad thing and get rid of it. And don't get me wrong, and some of the good cholesterol as well. But you tend to benefit from it because the body itself looks at it to say, because the metabolism of a skinny person is different from that of a big person. That's why you see some people that are very big, they have to eat a lot of things for them to function. But you give them small food, it may not be anything to them. So that's basically how I answer the question. So it's not necessary that they develop ulcers. And looking at it, if you flip the coin, even people who are big, who are fat, they do have ulcers as well. It is just that your body, it depends on how your body behaves. Some people are just prone to produce more acids than others. And that's why some kids have food sensitivity. They can't eat this, they can't eat that. But you wonder, but your dad can eat this, your mom can eat this, how come you cannot eat that? Because their body is a little bit different from ours. Wa alaikum salam.
What about people that don't like to wake up in the middle of the night and they fast without drinking?
That's a good question. Although we know in Islam, we are encouraged, Laura Jesari, Yarashino. I think that's what we had growing up. So there's a reason for that, because that is the sunnah of the Prophet. But if you know, for example, my everyday today will prevent me from actually waking up at 4:30 or so to have something to eat. And you know that, if I sleep, some people are like that, they're never going to wake up unless they got people to wake them up. Why don't you, before you sleep, eat something? So instead of having a too long period of fast, I mentioned 8 hours. So that means you're going to be doing it for almost 24 hours. So, and the way Islam is designed is to make it easy for us. So one should not make it difficult. You can actually eat something at that time if you can tolerate it. And then carry on with your fast.
Last question, sorry.
Yeah. No.
I'm just trying to impose any ulcer.
No, not really.
I'm just trying to ask a question. I've got a son. Anytime he eats, he goes to the toilet. If he takes anything, he has to go to the pool.
Okay.
To have a pool.
So,
is that medical? Because I'm talking to the doctors and I'm not sure what they said.
So some people have got a sensitive gut. So some have got a sensitive gut. But it's not all of them that have got a diagnosis of irritable bowel syndrome.
That's what I was thinking.
So sometimes some people have just got a sensitive, in the sense that their body just metabolizes things. But you need to check. Is it related to a specific food? Is it a specific meal that causes it? If it's anything, and don't get me wrong, when kids are young sometimes, their intestine is still growing. The intestine may be very short to the extent that the transit time it's faster. So because obviously, you know, it has to go through all those places to come out. So and he eats this food and it goes quickly. So that's why. But the question is, the pool that they are passing.
Okay, I need to check that.
If that one is fine, you can relax your mind. Yeah. If they are passing normal pool, okay, they don't have tummy pain. It's just that they go almost immediately. It is just their nature, really. But oh well, you know normal pool.
Yeah, normal pool.
Yeah, if they are passing normal pool, fine. If it's anything not normal, one has got every right to be worried. So it's just that you ask him to look at his pool. How is it? Does it look normal? Okay, fine. Okay, mommy will see it today. Okay, that's fine. And then you can relax. Thank you very much for the question.
I'm afraid we won't take any more questions, please. Dr. Nurudeen is part of us. No, Dr. Nurudeen is part of us. No more. No. Pedro. Dr. Nurudeen is part of us.